Hi everyone. So today it's writing and language section of the SAT with Coach Fred, your favorite math teacher. So today we're going to be talking about the types of questions that you could be asked about on the SAT. But first, I want to make sure that you don't fall into the biggest trap on this test. I'm a patterns person, obviously, because I'm a math teacher, and the pattern I've seen is that there are basically 7 types of questions, or my 7 that I like to call types of questions on the SAT. But the biggest thing you could do wrong is to pick an answer because you say it doesn't sound right. That would be a trap. And this is where most students I've seen fail. So first, let's talk about the seven types of questions I've seen on the test. And I put them into categories that we're going to be talking about each one. So there'll be 7 additional videos. And today we're just going to be talking about one of these things, okay? So you'll most likely be tested on several things. And this is my list. And it's kind of a mix of things, that the College Board says and all different websites. But what I find the patterns are that you're going to be tested on punctuation, absolutely. You're going to be tested on pronoun and verb agreement. You're going to be tested on the proper use of vocabulary, and I call that effective language use. And I'm really talking here about transition words and words that sometimes kids mess up. Clarity. And when I talk about clarity, you want to make things more clear, so you want to reduce redundancies. You're going to be asked to determine the proper syntax, which means combining sentences. So you're looking to improve the flow or cohesion without altering the meaning. Structure, and you spent a lot of time on this in your high school English classes, talking about parallel structure. And then the last one is development. And I kind of put a bunch in this category, and most kids find this to be the hardest. This is where you're adding, deleting, or revising. And it'll actually say that in the question, so you'll know you're being tested on this. But if this is the first question you ask yourself when you look at the answers to the question, what am I being tested on, it's already going to make it easier for you, because then you just need to follow the rules that we're going to talk about. So today I'm going to be hitting clarity and reducing redundancies within the writing section. So let's talk more about clarity. Okay, so clarity. Again, I've said you need to reduce redundancies, and that means redundancy questions involve removing unnecessary words on the SAT that you'll encounter. You really don't want to use words that essentially repeat or are already previously defined. You also want to reduce inflated or useless phrases that could be omitted or condensed. So these are some things that you're going to look at when you're being tested for clarity. And I'm going to show you how to see those in questions. All right, so here's an example. Our problem is that we're too self-aware of ourselves. Our problem is that we're too self-aware. Well, of ourselves adds a redundancy to the sentence. Self-aware basically means we're talking about ourselves. So we would not need this in a sentence. That would make it more clear. All right, which one of these is wrong? I once believed and had faith in the power of love. I once believed in the power of love. Well, if you believe in something, then you have faith in it. So this would be wrong because I don't need to say had faith as well. It's redundant. All right, so let's talk about those unnecessary or useless phrases, inflated. Matthew bought a supersized hamburger due to the fact that he was really hungry. All right, or Matthew bought a supersized hamburger because he was really hungry. Due to the fact, it's almost like we're just trying to make ourselves sound smarter. Because is a perfectly acceptable word to make this a clear sentence. So due to the fact has an inflated word. The legal documents reviewed in a way that was deemed thorough. So very formal and official. Again, in a way that was deemed thorough is another way to say thoroughly, and I'd go with thoroughly. So in phrases like due to the fact and in a way that was deemed must be made more concise. So try and eliminate the words and make them shorter. Another thing you have to worry about on the clarity is dangling modifiers. I kind of could probably put dangling modifiers in just about any category, but I put it here. So modifiers are words or phrases that add description. I want you to think similar to appositives, but they must come before or after words that they logically describe. So make sure to find who or what these phrases are describing. So here's a good example. Number 24 we're going to look at, okay? So I'm going to actually start this one off a little bit earlier because we kind of need it. And I see that I thought I had made it. I gleefully traded in my suits and dress shoes for sweatpants and slippers, my frantic early morning bag lunch packing for a leisurely midday trip to my refrigerator. The novelty of this comfortable work from home life, however, soon got worn off quickly. Within a month, I found myself feeling isolated despite having frequent email and instant messaging contact with my colleagues. Having become frustrated trying to solve difficult problems, no colleagues were nearby to share ideas. So this sentence, I see that I have a modifying phrase. I have a phrase, a descriptive phrase in the beginning of the sentence. Having become frustrated trying to solve difficult problems. Well, I've got to figure out who or what are we describing here. So who's having this? Who's becoming frustrated? In the following sentence, it says no colleagues were able to share ideas. It doesn't give me enough to say who's becoming frustrated. Now, if you were reading the whole passage, the author is I. So a dangling modifier means that I need to, in this phrase, have something that's showing me who's talking. So I look at all my answers. All the answers are slightly different and being moved around. So I have to consider that this could be a dangling modifier. So I first look at the one they gave me. No colleagues were nearby to share ideas. Okay, we already know that's wrong because I'm not referring to the I, to the author. Colleagues were important for sharing ideas. Again, I'm not talking about the author, the I. Remember, I'm trying to figure out who became frustrated. Ideas couldn't be shared with colleagues. Now, that's a true statement, but it's not telling me who's becoming frustrated. D, I missed having colleagues nearby to consult. So by just adding the word I, it's telling me who's become frustrated. So I know who or what they are describing. So my answer would be D. It's a little challenging, but that's a dangling modifier. And I kind of put that in clarity because in order to be more clear, you have to state who that statement or that descriptive phrase is describing. Okay, here's another one. Number 18. Response to the advertisement was overwhelming, even tremendous. So I go to 18. And I look at the word overwhelming and even tremendous. Overwhelming and tremendous are really synonyms for each other. I don't need them both. So I'm going to either get rid of one or the other. So I look for an answer that is getting rid of one or the other. So I'm going to get rid of A. I look at B. It says response to the advertisement was overwhelming. Okay, I'm going to keep that. Overwhelming, even tremendous. And C, I still got that redundancy. There was an overwhelming, even tremendous. I still have that redundancy in D. So my answer would be B. All right, guys, so that's my little discussion on clarity and reducing redundancies. Remember, most important thing is look at what you're being tested on before you attack the problem and try and apply the rules to what you're trying to do. All right, have a great night.